I agree.
All right, I am recording though. I'm just gonna cut this first part out.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey everyone, and welcome to Half and Half, the show where we're half brothers,
Half agree. Half
half
the
the time.
time.
It's really hard to do that over
That's so
over
hard
the
over video.
internet. You're like half the time.
Time.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and we get it
Perfect.
right 0% of the time. It's good to be here.
Yeah. Well, what have you been up to lately?
Oh, went back to work for the first. I've been working remotely, but like going back to work officially today for the first time since February.
Yeah.
Was kind of weird. I guess like the first week of March. But I mean, still watching a lot of movies. I watched a really good movie about the DuPont. You know, like DuPont, the company that Jeff Gordon had on his race car.
Oh yeah.
So like they got sued by a lawyer that used to represent them a little bit because they were like disposing of chemicals like in lakes and stuff and like trying to hide it.
Oh wow.
And yeah, and he won like millions and millions of dollars for people. It was really cool. So it's really good, and it's by the guy that plays Hulk in the Avengers.
Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, he like did it, and he's the main actor. It's really really good. So I watched
That's weird.
that yesterday.
I was thinking about Mark Ruffalo earlier for some reason. I was thinking for some reason the movie 13 going on 30 popped in my head.
Wow.
With Jennifer Garner.
What she does
Yeah.
with throw.
Isn't Mark Ruffalo the guy that plays the guy that she likes?
I think he is in that. Yeah.
Well, yeah,
That's weird.
and I don't know why I even thought about that, but I was like, was that Mark Ruffalo? Because that's a
Yeah.
completely different thing.
I think we should think about Mark Ruffalo every day, if we're gonna be honest.
I mean,
What
he seems like a good guy, you know.
He's an American Jim. Yeah, him and Leonardo DiCaprio are like friends because of all their like environmental and like social causes that they're
yeah.
involved in. Yeah, which is really cool.
Lil Dicky's been to Leonardo DiCaprio's house.
Lil Dicky. I bet he filmed a music video in his front yard, I'm sure.
Yeah, he had that Earth
That dude's
video.
wild. Yeah, it's pretty good. Pretty crazy. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I've been watching movies. I've been studying a lot of, Bible stuff.
Hmm.
I also have just been trying to figure out my emotions and as an extrovert in a quarantine world, man. It's really hard. So just constantly trying to maneuver through that and try to be as healthy as possible.
Yeah, I'm the complete opposite, you know. Like I'm like,
Yeah,
which I'm still going to work like all the time, but
sure.
I'm like, man, nothing's really changed out of that. Like I don't really go out or anything like that. I just kind of sit at home, do some work around here, and play games.
Yeah, I can't do it, man. I am like I broke down today, man. I just went to my room and just sat alone and cried for a little bit because I was like, I have no emotions.
Yeah,
It
sometimes
was
you just
such
gotta
a
let
weird
it
feeling.
out, though, you know.
Dude, yeah, it felt good, if we're gonna be honest.
Yeah,
But now
Yeah.
I'm exhausted. After having a good cry, it's like, oh, I'm so tired.
but yeah, today I got home from work and went out, and I've been like working on my wood shop. I'm trying to deconstruct my workbench, and I want to rebuild
Okay.
it in a different way. It's really big right now. I started with it like really big because I had like a lot of cool projects that I wanted to work on, and
Yeah.
it's like too much, and so I'm gonna like way downscale it, then repurpose a lot of the wood. And I was out there just like kind of organizing. I built a little thing to put all my like wood pieces in, so that way
Oh.
they're not just kind of like laying around everywhere, and just kind of cleaned up. And I worked for about 2 hours, and I got so hot, so I was just like, I'm going in. Screw
Yeah,
this.
dude, that's crazy.
I was pouring sweat, but
Good for
Um,
you though.
yeah, thanks. But no, actually, something that I did want to talk about that I've been doing, or that I did, I watched the movie Parasite.
Yeah,
other day.
okay, yeah, I've seen it.
Goodness, it's such a good movie. I don't if you haven't watched it, go watch it. You know, like it's a really really good movie, and it without like, I feel like it doesn't like heavy hand a lot of like stuff that it's trying to portray. Like it does a little
Right.
bit just on the concept of the movie, but
Sure.
it doesn't come across heavy handed. It's like I
Right.
think it's a really well put together movie, and the scene in the backyard for the kid's birthday
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the best representation that I have ever seen about the like the differences between the wealthy and the impoverished.
It's a hot take.
No, because so
No, it's not.
yeah, I don't think it is. Like it might be. I don't know. I haven't seen every movie ever, but I think as far
Sure.
as like film goes, I think it's like one of the best representations of it because, like, while the impoverished people are literally fighting, like they're
Right.
fighting to survive. Is
Right.
what this representation is, and the wealthy people are just like, whatever, like I'm just gonna get my keys, but you're kind of inconveniencing me. Like he holds his nose when he gets his keys, like he's like, even in your death you're inconveniencing me.
Right.
And
Yeah.
like I just think it's a great representation without, and I really don't think it's heavy handed because I think
It's all
that
symbolic.
yeah, it is all symbolic, but
Yeah.
it's not portrayed in that way. It's not portrayed as like this is the poor fighting and this is the rich fighting, or this is the rich
Right.
doing whatever the thing is. It's just kind of like all this like kerfuffle of stuff
Right.
going on,
Right.
and you just kind of like pick it out. And I just thought it was a really cool representation of like how much harder the impoverished have to work. Or I'm not going to say that they have to work harder because like some people got their money from something, most of them, but they do have to work harder to survive, I guess.
Sure. No. Yeah. And I. So did you see what other nominees for Best Picture this last year have you seen?
I don't even know what was nominated.
Uh, Ford versus Ferrari,
Nope. I wanted to see
Joker.
that. Yeah, I watched
Yeah, really
Joker.
good. Joker. Um. Oh, why am I blanking? Jojo Rabbit,
Nope.
1917.
No, that's another one on my list.
Yeah. Okay. What's the Marriage Story?
Mm-mm.
The Irishman.
No, that's on Netflix though.
So is Marriage Story.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Marriage
and I think
Story is
there's
that
one.
one with Scarlett Johansson, right?
Right. Yeah, she's in two of the movies that got nominated for Best Picture this year,
Wow.
which is pretty cool. She's in Jojo Rabbit. So I think Jojo Rabbit is should have won, and that doesn't take any like Parasite, phenomenal flick.
Hmm.
Like the only movie of the nominees I didn't see was Joker. And that's not for any reason. I bought a ticket for it one time and then had something else come up and I wasn't able to go. It's that story. But
Yeah.
Parasite, really good movie. But Jojo Rabbit is unlike any film I've ever seen before. Like I've never laughed out loud at a Hitler character in a movie in my entire life.
Wow.
um, except for in the Zenziatic video, right? But we need to drop that in the show notes or something. That link because that is so funny. But just like the portrayal of all that is one of the I've just never. It's one of the most unique films I've ever seen. Is why I thought it should have won. But this year's nominee list was really good, really fantastic.
So Jojo Rabbit. Where
Jojo
is
Rabbit.
Is it on anything like Netflix, Hulu, Amazon?
I don't think so.
Okay,
I
I'll
think
find
he's
it.
yeah. Just figure it out.
Yeah.
Spend a dollar at
Fend for
Redbox.
yourself.
Yeah. All right. No, it's
But
cool. I'm glad you watched it. It's really, really good though. Parasite's
yeah, I
awesome.
had no idea what it was about.
Yeah,
I
I
had
didn't really
no
either.
no connotation of like anything about the movie, and so like I went into it, I was like, "Is this a
Right.
horror film?"
Right. Yeah.
Like
Well, and like you're talking about like the rich and the poor, like the car scene where the guy is driving after his sub basement has been completely flooded by this rain, right? And the mom in the background from the wealthy is like the rain was such a blessing,
yeah.
And I was
Oh my
like,
gosh.
man, like that, and like, that's not her fault. Like
Yeah,
you
it's
can't
not.
blame her. Like she experienced a blessing from an experience. Of course, like that. There's nothing wrong with acknowledging that.
Yeah.
Um, but man, for him to have to hear that,
It's just two
and
sides of
just
the same coin. Yeah.
yeah, that was a really powerful moment.
Goodness, yeah. That I forgot about that, but yeah, I was
Yeah.
thinking the same thing. I was like, "Dang it, dude! Like
Well,
the
and
movie's
I saw
good."
that. I saw that because I saw someone on Twitter use that picture as a quote tweet.
Hmm.
It was a picture of both those two like scenes. Um, because someone said, "Man, this quarantine has been such a blessing to me and my family." And it's like, man, like for some people, yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
Like getting all this family time and all this other stuff. And for some people, they've lost their jobs and they don't know how they're paying for their private student loans. Right?
Yeah.
Those aren't on hold. If you took out a student loan from Wells Fargo, Wells Fargo's like, "Give me my money." You
Yeah.
know. Yeah, we created fake accounts to make sure all of our employees got paid all this extra money a few years ago. But whatever, we still need our money. Right? Which I was one of those accounts. Have I told you that?
No, I didn't. You didn't.
Yeah, I was one of the Wells Fargo fake accounts actually. This guy I knew, he was like, I need to make an account to to meet my quota. Can I like make one for you? You don't have to use it.
Wow,
Isn't that crazy?
that's insane.
Yeah. So I was a part of the system. I won't say his name. I mean, and I honestly haven't seen that guy in years, so it's not like we're like buddy buddy,
Yeah,
I was just around to help him. Pretty weird.
yeah, that is.
Yeah. I'm an accomplice.
So, um, today I guess we're going to talk about drug addiction though, and just kind of like
Yeah.
the ethics revolving around that. And
Yeah, we are.
yeah, I mean, so in your mind, I think there's a good jumping off point. In your mind, do you think drugs should be legalized or decriminalized?
Oh, we're gonna jump to there. I was gonna start with the science, and then kind of look at this, and then like we could wander
Well,
into
so
like
I thought that too, and then but I was like, your reasoning behind this stuff is going to be because of those reasons.
right, which is I thought we'd build up to, but it's okay. No, no, no. You're the captain of the ship. It's my fault for even bringing it up.
Get in line.
Yes. Let's go down. Let's go down this. Oh no, I'm just kidding. Here's what I'll say. I think so. I am a big believer in individual rights. Like I'm not like a full-blown libertarian necessarily, but I do believe that people should be able to seek out happiness, especially in ways that don't cause harm to others. So like for example, like I think requiring people to wear a seatbelt, I don't think that's ethical, because it affects your own health.
I'm going to put a
Like,
caveat on there and say I agree with you as long as you're the only person in the car.
okay, yeah, that's interesting too. And so like I think that I think that gets a little bit much. So like, should I, Justin, be allowed to do heroin at home alone? Especially if I was a single guy, I don't have kids, and if I have a wife, if all that was true, should I be able to do heroin at home? I should slow down. Shouldn't I be able to do heroin at home? Probably, right? Like I don't know. I don't feel like a governing society. I don't feel like someone who doesn't know me personally should be able to speak into that situation necessarily. Um, but I know there's a lot of factors to this, right? And we don't have the time to cover all of the factors
Yeah,
of
no.
money and taxation and regulation and the health and the costs and the health benefits and all that stuff, right? Um, I think that, um, okay, I think if sugar and caffeine are legal, it's hard to call other drugs illegal.
Yeah.
Right? Sugar kills tons of people. Tons of
Yeah.
people. We just call it cardiac arrest or
Yeah.
obesity, right?
Or a heart attack.
Right. All caused by.
Or I guess it's cardiac arrest, sorry.
Which
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing, but I was just gonna move on and let you sound. I wasn't gonna like.
Yeah,
Hey,
I had to clear that up. Yeah.
those things are synonymous. Okay.
Walk the plank. Walk the plank.
We're sticking with this. I like it. So I think that that's really funny. No, so like I think that like some drugs we've just accepted, like obesity kills so many people every year, every day, right? And so to say like sugar isn't as harmful as anything else, like sure it is,
Yeah,
sure.
and that's not even touching on things like nicotine and tobacco,
Right. Right, and like alcohol and all that other stuff, right? So
Yeah.
there's substances that we're already experiencing addictions to. And I struggle with this. I really do. Like I think, and it gets tricky, right? Because then like if I say I think we should be legal, it's like cool, let's go to the next one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's like, and that process kind of continues. And I know that they're different, and I understand that to the point of which I can, I guess. Not being someone, I'm someone who hasn't used those, before. So I would say a long way to get to a short answer. I'll say no. I don't think that like super hardcore drugs should be legalized
Not. What about decriminalized?
or decriminalized, which similar, right?
I mean, not really.
Oh, they're similar.
Yeah.
Like, what's the point of having a law if you're not going to enforce it, right?
Well, that's not the case. So like,
Educate me.
so like decriminalization would be like you can have like weed on you to smoke, or you can have heroin on you to shoot up. But as long as you don't have like enough to sell or something like that,
Oh, right.
then you're not going to go to jail.
Right.
And
Okay.
so
Yeah, I'm down.
instead of like viewing these things as like a problem of like, oh, you're a bad person and you should go to jail for the with the same people that have like raped people and
Right.
murdered people and committed like robbery, like
Right.
I don't think that we should be grouping those people into the same categories. I
No, yeah,
understand
I
that you
agree with that.
can do some things like that under the influence of drugs,
Right.
um, but
Yeah, like where does culpability begin and end with that, right? Like that's tricky.
yeah, so the decriminalization of drugs doesn't decriminalize like the actions that you do under drugs. So if you kill
Right.
somebody while you're on heroin because you're on heroin, but you
Right.
wouldn't otherwise kill somebody, it's not like you're like, oh, here's a slap on the wrist, don't do it
Right.
again, bud.
Right. Right. I
And
would just
so
always be on heroin, right? At that point, like,
yeah,
what are you gonna get me in trouble for? The heroin made me do it.
and
Just kidding.
so
Heroin's a bad drug. Don't do it.
yeah, and so it's I believe in having all drugs decriminalized.
All Krugs de-drugalized,
Yeah.
de-germinalized.
Sounds like something George
Okay,
Bush would say.
right.
Dedrugalized.
I don't know who Katrina is, but we will find her and bring her to us. No, I like that. I think I do. So like, what would we do? Because under my understanding is that people that are like jail or in prison, I guess, they
Mhm.
get forms of recovery and like rehabilitation there for
Mhm.
free. They're like state provided, I guess. Would we still provide like how does that work? Does that make sense if it's decriminalized?
Yeah, so like Canada has a place where I forgot what this place is called. I should have researched this before we started, but
Jurassic Park.
yeah, that's Jurassic Park, and
Yeah.
um, and so it's a place where, which I don't think all drugs are decriminalized in Canada,
Right.
but there's a place where people can go and like literally shoot up in this place. They provide free needles that are clean,
Yeah. Yeah.
sterilized, and all
Yeah.
this stuff, and then in the same building they offer rehabilitation.
Yeah.
And
So
so,
Denver actually has a couple things like that.
wow, I didn't know that those
Yeah.
things existed in the states, but that's awesome to hear.
Yeah. I don't know if they have rehab right next to it, but I know that's like a safe place to like use.
Yeah, which I mean, like that just
Crazy.
helps like the controlling of diseases, make sure that
For
like
sure.
like the health of
Limits overdoses too when you're
yeah,
not completely alone.
yeah,
Yeah.
and and it not treating it like a crime
Right.
is the best step that I think that we could take as a society to help people recover.
Yeah.
Because the last thing somebody wants to do is like admit that they're doing drugs and then go to jail or like be forced into like something like that they don't want to be in.
Right. So are you for like giving needles and stuff like that? Like provide, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
me too. I wish I could remember. Yeah, like I should have done. I actually I know this stuff. I know this. I know I've done the research on that, and I just cannot remember what it's called. Man, that's really frustrating. Um, but just like yeah, providing safe places and like here's safe needles. Like we're not gonna watch you do like here, but here's a sterilized needle rather than
yeah,
reusing a needle. That's I mean that's intense. It's a real thing, and it really is helpful to the individual. Because like cold turkey is not right. Just being like get your life together,
yeah. I mean,
right?
like that's not even an option for some drugs, like
That's
heroin.
exactly yeah. That's
You
what I'm
can like
saying.
literally
Yeah,
die from the withdrawals.
right.
Um, but I mean, there is people that can benefit from like going through the system of
Sure.
like going through prison and then
Right.
getting rehab and stuff like that. I actually had a friend that was on meth for
Nice.
a few years, and
Not nice that he was on meth for a few years,
yeah,
but nice of where this is going.
yeah, and
Yeah.
he. Yeah, he was on meth for a few years. I think I saw him like twice. He came over to the house like one or two times during that period. Didn't act the same, barely looked the same, and like there's not a whole lot that you can do as a friend or anything like that because you don't want to like sit there and like preach on them. Like you
Right.
need to stop doing this because you want to like be there for them if they need anything, but you also don't want to like watch the like it's basically just like sitting back and like you can see a car crash coming but
Right.
and you have the ability to stop it, or you feel like you have the ability to stop it, but you just have to sit back and watch. You know, like
Right.
it's a weird place to be in.
It's really
But
hard.
yeah, he went through a lot of stuff and then ended up actually going to jail or going to prison for, I don't know, I think it was like 18 months or something like that. He got out on good behavior and went into
Wow.
rehab, and he's fully recovered. He actually like is a drug counselor now and
Okay.
goes to AA meetings and stuff like that. And like,
That's
cause
awesome.
he stopped drinking and stuff as well, because he was like, if I drink, I'm gonna, or if I have a beer, I'm gonna have two beers. If I have two beers,
Dang.
I'm gonna have a case of beer. If I have a case of beer,
Right.
I'm doing meth again. And so,
Man, that takes a lot of self-awareness, man. That's awesome.
yeah, and it's really good. And he's like going back to college now. He's getting his degree, and like I said, he's working on he's I think he currently works in a rehab center, but he's working to be a counselor.
Nice. Wow, that's awesome, man. Good for that. What a high quality friend.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy that it went to the lows that it did, and then it's up to where it is now.
Right. Yeah, so like while you were talking, man, I pulled up these other things like of so like syringe exchange programs, and like it's like Canada has needle exchange programs. Let's see. But like you talk to a local health authority and like you can take like a needle that you've used and they'll give you a sterilized one,
Oh wow.
which is really like the UK has this and Ireland has this and like most places have this and the United States has kind of a form of this, right? It's kind of by state, which is interesting. And I've actually been to Denver like on a walk where we looked at like where people use and kind of what all this kind of looks like in Denver. It's like in the library, which is like a main spot for a lot of people that are addicted to drugs.
Hmm.
Like the bathroom stalls, I could see in like at my height, right? I'm 6'3", and without getting on my tippy toes, I could see over the door because like the whole point was like if someone was like shaking, like they could see in
Oh
really
wow.
easily to like and save lives that way.
Yeah,
Isn't that interesting?
that is
Um,
interesting.
and just like man, it's just and I think it's called a safe. Is it called a safe house?
It might
Is
be,
that what
but
it's
I don't
called? I
know.
think that I feel like that's
It
what it's
probably has
called.
different names for different places, you know.
No, sure, yeah. But I think it's called a safe house. But just like providing, I think that's crucial. It's crucial. I mean, um, right, and I think it filters into the conversation of like this of all of this right now with quarantine and stuff, right? Like the big quote that Donald Trump said, and like people have been latching onto is like the cure can't be worse than the drug, right?
Yeah,
And I think a lot of times when people unknowingly are saying like, "Well, just quit," like no,
yeah,
that would literally be worse than using the drug.
yeah,
You know, a life on drugs is better than a life than no life. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I'd much rather a human being be alive. You know,
yeah,
especially to be mentally awake and stuff like that.
yeah. And I kind of sympathize with this. Like, I actually smoke currently, and I quit for a while. I It's actually a stupid reason why I got back into it. But so for Christmas last year, my wife bought me the subscription box for cigars because I like cigars a lot,
Yeah,
and it was I think she said it was supposed to be like two shipments. There were one was at 3 months and one was at 6 months.
right.
And so 6 months goes, I got that box. It's just like 5 cigars. I finished those off, and then I was like, one day I was just like smoking, and I was just like, that was my last one.
Wow.
It was just like I had
Yeah,
thought about it like a couple of times before, but I was just like, that was my last one. And I like stopped myself from going to the store all the time to buy more cigarettes.
yeah,
I like it was really hard. Like I didn't tell anybody that I quit,
yeah,
and so 3 days goes by. The first couple of days were decently easy,
yeah.
and then third day, my wife I was up at the restaurant, and she came through the drive-through, and she was like asking me something. Like I think she was asking me if I wanted food from somewhere, and I was just sitting here like. I'm trying to like figure out where I can put my hand, but like I was like sitting,
Right.
I had my hand on the like window because she's at the drive-through
Yeah.
window, and like I'm just like sitting here like this, and I'm just like staring
Wow.
off, and like
Wow.
she's like, and it's not like I'm like shaking, like I'm not, but I'm just like fidgety, and so
Right.
I'm like fidgeting, and like she's like asking me stuff, and I'm like, yeah, that's fine. That's what like. I'm just like trying
Yeah.
to just like. I want this interaction to end,
Right.
but it's for no reason other than I'm just like I'm embarrassing myself, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And I like she's like, "What is wrong with you?"
Right.
And I was like, I like looked at her and I was like, "I quit smoking 3 days ago. Bye." And like, um, yeah, it was like really difficult. And like I'm pretty non-controversial. Like I don't like to like pick fights with people or anything like that. I like to,
Confrontational.
yeah. What did I say?
Controversial. And I was like,
Controversial.
you might be
Yeah, I'm
controversial.
probably controversial.
Yeah.
Confrontational. That's a good word. Yeah, thank
Right.
you. But yeah. So I try not to. I try to come at a place from like understanding and compassion whenever I'm talking to like pretty much anybody about anything,
Yeah.
and so, but during that time I had like nothing. Like it was just like
Yeah.
don't even like look at me
Right.
funny. Don't
Yeah.
don't do
Right.
anything.
I don't
And
want
like I'll let
anything.
everybody know, like like after I kind of like after everybody kind of like started noticing, I was like
Right.
I quit smoking. Like just if I get upset with you, it's not because I'm like actually mad at you. It's just because I'm just doing this. So like just bear with me for a while,
Right.
and quit smoking for 3 months.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And um, I remember in the third month I was having dreams that I was still have no, in the middle of the third month is when I stopped having dreams about smoking. I
Yeah.
like literally had I would like have a dream where just literally the entire dream was I got out of bed, I grabbed a cigarette and I lit it, and then I smoked,
Wow.
and that was my entire dream.
Wow.
Good times.
Your brain was like, I know what I want. Now feed me.
And so month three comes in, I get another box, a third mystery box
Right.
of cigars because apparently my wife had ordered a year.
Right. Perfect.
Yeah, and so I didn't touch them for a while. Actually, it might have been 4 months that I had stopped, but
Yeah.
I had a friend come down from Germany. I hadn't seen him in like 7 years,
Yeah.
and so we were all hanging out and had like everybody together, the people that I hadn't seen for a while, and just got everybody together over at my house, and we were all just hanging out and talking and having a good time. And I was like, let's have some celebratory cigars, like whatever.
Yeah. Let's light
And
up.
I was like, dude, it's 4 months in, three or 4 months in, like what, like I already quit once, like
Yeah.
one isn't going to be hard.
Right.
It just reignited everything. Like it
Wow.
seriously, just like it's like one, and then like all those times that you like you don't go to the store, that you don't like take an offering from somebody, like, hey, do you want a cigarette? Or you like don't stop at the store
Right.
to buy anything. Like all of
Right.
those are like little wins, and
Right.
so like you can have 100 of those in a row,
Right.
and then one loss reverts all of them.
That's so crazy.
It goes from 100 to 0 to 1 to 0,
Right.
or like or 0 to 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No. Yeah. That's man.
And it
That's so
really is
hard.
like all of that like goes, and so like, and that's nicotine, which nicotine is a very very addictive drug,
Yeah.
but uh the it makes me like empathize more with people that are on something that's like more addictive. It's like,
Right.
whenever they're like, even in their like teens or something, nobody's like, what I want to be when I grow up? A junkie.
Right. Right.
I want to live in a crack house.
That'd be awesome.
Living the dream.
Yeah, for living in a dream. Yeah. Yeah, which, and like we don't want to make light of anyone who is experiencing that, but
Yeah.
that is like for sure, like that's not. I haven't heard anybody yet, that's been like, yeah, this is what I wanted from my life. They
Yeah.
may say it's what I expected, but I think there's a huge difference between those two words.
Yeah, for sure. But
Crazy. Yeah, no, and so like speaking of like drugs that are more addictive, right? Well, first of all, I want to speak life to what you just said. Thank you for opening up about that. Like obviously I know most of that because I'm your brother,
Yeah.
right? But just to like tell that and like relay that in, that puts a lot of just like transparency. I think that's really
Yeah.
cool. So where are you at now? Are you currently
So
a
I,
smoker?
yeah, I am.
You're smoking hot.
Thanks.
You got good genes.
But the yeah, so I currently smoke. I started smoking black and milds, which if you don't smoke, you probably don't know what that is. A black and mild is
Hey,
mostly what people use to smoke weed out of to make blunts
yeah,
and stuff like that. But I just smoke them because you buy them in singles, and they're like $1 a piece, and I only buy one at a time. So I inconvenience the crap
okay,
out of myself so that
yeah,
I'm not like, because if I bought a pack of cigarettes, if I bought a pack of those,
right. It's
then I
easy just
would
to
just
put them
like,
down.
yeah, like I could
Yeah,
smoke like a pack in probably 2 days if I got back into it. There was a time in my life where I was smoking a pack a day, you know.
dang, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, which is crazy because I'm 28 years old,
Right, yeah, you're a young blood. No,
but
absolutely, man. That's yeah, but no, and there's no shame in that. Like it's. I was just kind of curious where where
yeah,
you're at right now because we haven't talked about that. It's been a minute, so I just
yeah,
didn't know where you're at right now. And more power too. Like I said, there's no shame in that, so don't feel embarrassed.
no, I mean,
um,
obviously the plan is to stop again, but
sure,
we'll
sure.
get
No,
there.
yeah.
Like it's like one of those things, and so like this is actually like something else that I wanted to talk about. It's a good segue into this, and if you wanted something to butt in, you can.
You're the
Okay,
captain.
sorry, but 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 so like the reason why like I don't just like stop, which I mean I guess I could like make that decision like any time to stop. It's a very difficult decision to make. You have to be in the right headspace, which is like
Right.
part of what the other thing is like whenever people like want to quit, it has to be their choice. I don't think that like other things can influence your choice, but it has to be
Sure.
your choice.
Right. Yeah.
Like
Like that's
nobody's
like
gonna
the
sit
goal.
there and be like, yeah, nobody's gonna sit there and just be like, hey, you need to stop, and they're like, okay.
Right. Yeah. Like the goal of the intervention, right, per se, is to like convince you that this is worth it for you to quit, right?
Hmm.
Which I think is where a lot of interventions go wrong. They're like, I'm going to tell him to stop. It's like, no, no, no. You're going to tell him how what he's doing, he or she, is affecting you,
Yeah,
right? And hopefully that you have enough tie, right? That's going to cause a form of pain, right? That's
yeah,
like, oh, I don't want to cause you that anymore because I care about you.
yeah.
Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
And so yeah, like I said, the reason why I haven't necessarily stopped this next time, which I had stopped in between that, and then I got my fourth box in cigars, dude. So cigars, but that was my last one. I haven't got any more since. So
There you go. All right.
I'm home free, and so I'm just kind of waiting for it. Like every day, I have like a moment of like I need to quit soon. Like it's
Yeah.
like every day. But the last thing that you want to do is start getting numb to the idea of quitting.
Mm,
And so,
yeah.
like, that's something that you can fall into. It's like, that was my last one. And then the next day, you just go right back to the store and you get
Right.
another one. And then you just say
Oh, that's
that,
my last one.
yeah,
Yeah.
that one, then it just becomes normalized. And it's just like your last one
Right.
doesn't even matter anymore. You don't care.
Right.
Like, and
Right.
so that's the last thing I want to do. I want to make sure I'm in a good headspace to where, like, whenever I say that's my last one, that's my last one.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
Yeah. So, yeah, basically what that boils down to is just like I said, it has to be like these people's choice, and like you were saying that it's they have to realize that, and like they have to realize like that they're gaining something from it,
Right.
especially with these like with harder drugs. And could you imagine like for me as like a cigarette smoker, I
Right.
couldn't imagine having to wean off of that. Like if I cut cold turkey, I get mad
Right.
for a little while, and I
Right.
have like a short temper, and I
Right.
get a little fidgety. But it's not bad. Like it sucks. Like it's always a mental strain. But it's not
Sure.
like I'm not over here like seizing and stuff.
Yeah.
Like I'm
Like, bro,
not. I'm
I can't even cut out sugar.
yeah,
I can't cut sugar out. Like, I can't do it. I've tried, and I'm like, like my mouth starts going dry. And so I'm just like, I kind of get like not fit. I get like not fidgety, but my stomach reacts. My whole, like it's not mental necessarily, but like my body is affecting and I know my mind is affected because we're addicted to sugar. But it's like I'm addicted to sugar,
yeah,
right? It's like, yeah, like, I know that, and I can't. Like I mean, I can, I guess, but like, I don't really have like a draw to. It's like
yeah.
I understand, but I've tried to quit like a little bit, like try to like Whole 30 type stuff, and I was like, yeah, this isn't for me.
Yeah, and I was just saying though that like I couldn't imagine like as I'm trying to quit having to wean off
Right.
of it. Like it's like
No.
you're gonna have like one day you're gonna have like 3/4 of a cigarette, and then like a couple you're
Right.
gonna continue that, and then the next like couple days you're gonna have a half of one, and then
Half. Right. And
like
it's so
and
it's
then every
slow.
single time like I said like every time that you're not smoking is a win, but every time that you do again, it's just back to square one. And
Right.
so like having to do that for like heroin addiction, where you like literally have to wean off of it, you can't
Right.
just cut cold turkey.
Right.
Yeah, like I
Well,
can
it's
imagine
like
that's a go ahead.
what's that guy's name that had to roll the rock up the hill in Greek
Oh,
mythology, you know?
yeah, I
But
know who you're talking
it's
about
that
then.
it's that premise of just like he had this huge rock, and his punishment for whatever he had done was like you have to roll this huge stone up the hill. And it's like if you stop for a second, well, there it goes.
Yeah,
You know? And it's like, okay, like literally like, all it took was one misstep, right?
yeah.
And it's like, man, that is tragic. Like I don't know, man. Like it's so hard. So hard.
And it's crazy whenever you think about people that have like weird addictions, like eating addictions or food addictions.
Right.
Like you literally have to eat to survive, and so every
Right.
time that you're eating, you're back to square one on your on your
Yeah.
rehabilitation.
Right. Well, dude, and so like, man, yeah, it's like I like that we're moving towards the science. You know, like it. I read from drugabuse.gov, which seemed like a pretty good source. That so like the genes that people are born with account for about half of a person's risk for addiction.
Wow.
Yeah, like and like gender, ethnicity, and the presence of other mental disorders may also influence risk for drug use and addiction, which like those are things that are outside of your control. So over half of your risk for addiction is completely out of your control. You know,
Wow.
it's like if you're exposed to it once, some people will be okay, you know,
Yeah.
and they'll be fine. Some people will be like, I gotta get some more of that instantly. You know, one time
Yeah.
is all it took. You know, um, and I think that's part of what makes stuff like that so scary, right? Because like other things, like I think there's some things that are more certain, right? Like if I jump out of this 3-story building, this is going to hurt. You know, like
Yeah.
I'm going to experience pain for sure. Where some people are like, oh, like I did heroin one time, and like let me tell you about the one time I did heroin, right? Or some people are like I did heroin once. I can't tell you about the one time I like I because I'm not around anymore, whatever that looks like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the hardest parts about drugs is that people experience them differently based off of science,
Yeah.
and I think that's really hard to like fight peer pressure on, you know, and stuff like that when there's people around you who are doing it and they're okay,
Yeah.
you know, and then you do it and all of a sudden you're all in. I think that's really tricky.
Yeah. I actually had that thought the other day. I was thinking about this episode, and the thought popped in my head because you're exactly right. It's like some people have just different reactions to it, and some people can. Um, I don't want to say handle it better, but some people can just like do it, and it doesn't really affect them in the
Right.
same way. And so, like, I have a friend that, or I wouldn't say we're friends anymore, but I used to like hang around him a decent amount because I used to work with him, and um, he would he smoked weed all the time, and he would go on like binges. Like he would take like a couple weeks off work, and he would like, I think he said, I know he would do like cocaine, he would do crack, he
Wow.
would do he would like what's it called? It's not like infuse, but it basically is lace it. He would do like
Wow.
yeah, I think he said he did like heroin laced cocaine, and I don't even know if that's a thing, but I think that's what
Gosh.
he said,
Sure.
or meth laced. I don't know. Yeah, and he's just done a bunch of different things. But he like it's literally just like a binge that he goes on. It's kind of like watching a Netflix movie or Netflix series
Right.
for him. You know, like which he smokes all the time, and so that, like you know, like he's
Sure.
just watching trash TV, and then sometimes
Right.
he gets into a show and he'll watch it like for like just all the time, and that's
Right.
just kind of how he handles it. But after the show's
Wow.
over, he just goes back to his like trash TV type thing or something. You know, like
That's crazy.
it's
Yeah,
a
no,
weird
that's
analogy, but I
wild.
think it works.
Maybe, but that's wild, man. Like that to just spend, you know, that makes me think of like I don't even know what that makes me think of. That's just intense to think about.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna go do this and just completely like was it a numbing technique or was it like an mental awakening or
I think he just did it because he thought it was fun.
wow.
But I
not.
don't know. He was kind of one of those guys that was kind of elusive. So like I don't know. He could have
Sure,
been like hiding something. But I mean,
sure,
I'm not gonna sit there and pry on him. But
sure.
yeah,
No, for sure.
what I was like getting at though is that like I was like having this idea of like what if people are like there's like people that you interact with on a daily basis or something like that that like literally shoot up heroin, but they like all the time, but they just don't have
Right,
like the same like effects that you normally see in like the media or
right.
whatever. Like, and it doesn't have to be heroin; it could like literally be anything. But like, how many people
Yeah,
like just run on drugs just casually?
right. I don't know.
But I was
Yeah.
like, I was reading something. One of the people in my Facebook feed was talking about how he started microdosing on shrooms every day for
Well,
the past like year and a half or something like that. And he's like, I've genuinely
wow.
become a better person because of it.
That's what I've heard. I've heard a lot of people say that,
Yeah,
which is interesting. I had a
and I've
person
heard.
tell me. I had a person tell me like not that long, I guess like a year ago. He was like, I don't think that you can truly tell yourself that you're doing the best you can for yourself if you're not doing shrooms.
Wow,
And I was like, he's like, it's the only way to get like more self-awareness. And I was like, that
that's
is an
what
intense thing to say.
that's what I've heard is like shrooms and like or just psychedelics in general, like LSD and
Sure.
shrooms.
Right.
Um, but they were saying that like somebody was that I listened to. His name is Destiny. I don't know if you've heard of him. He's like a Twitch streamer. He's pretty big into politics now. He also does like stuff on YouTube, but mostly just Twitch streams.
Yeah.
Um, and he had a stream one time where he just like did a way too many mushrooms at once for his first time doing
Yeah.
mushrooms, and he was like, honestly, if I could mandate it, I would make everybody do a psychedelic at least one time in their life because
Huh.
he was like it's such a beneficial experience.
That is, it's contrary to what we're told by the media, that's for sure. You
Yeah, which
know.
I mean, there's a difference between like those and
No, for sure. But
yeah,
still like, just
meth.
sure. They are different. I agree with that. All right. So moving this conversation along.
Mhm.
I wanted to play devil's advocate on something real fast, okay?
Okay.
And I want you to play sane person advocate,
Okay.
okay? Like being like a normal person. So I would say, or this, so devil's advocate would saying, I, Justin Campbell, am not addicted to, let's say cocaine, to change it from heroin all the time, okay?
Okay.
And that is because I have never taken that drug, right?
Okay.
Um, and so by so isn't the user culpable at some point, right? Like it's
Hmm.
like you want to treat them with empathy and stuff, but like if they're doing something that is so harmful to the self, what level of culpability do we need to hold them to? I guess is so. I guess it's not so much devil's advocate. It's just like a point of view that I didn't want to really go. I'm not trying to come across as like this is your fault or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, but to like some where does that culpability line come in? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, like, well, you can look at that in like a lot of things that we look at in society. You could look at the same thing as like for people in poverty. Like, there's a lot of underlying factors that
Yeah,
come into play that
yeah,
can influence your decision on like whether to get a job, whether to try a drug one time, or like what the type of
right,
people that you're around. Where you go to school is a huge thing.
right,
There's a lot of different factors that come into play, and yeah, I mean, like, yes, there is some level of fault
right.
on the person, but just because like you like so two people can go to the same school that is like ridden with drugs, like or like has a ton of drugs like drug use in it
No, for
and
sure.
riddled with drugs, I guess. And one person can like later on become addicted to drugs because of it, and the other person can come out and never have tried drugs. But just because they went to the same school doesn't mean that they had the same circumstances in the school or something like that. One person like might have like been neighbors with somebody else that was in a part of a group, a bigger group, that, and those people in that group did drugs, and then the other person was like in a different neighborhood that didn't do drugs and stuff like that. And so like there's a lot of underlying factors that I think you need to look at. Yes, there is some culpability on the person itself, um,
Yeah,
and they like we do need to treat that as a thing. That's why I think that it should be looked at as a mental health issue and not a crime, because it is like it's your own mentality. But Yeah, I don't think that you can just like be like, oh, it's only your fault and your fault only. Like, there's a lot
Right.
of things that go into it.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I just wanted to kind of hear you flesh it out. And then if you remember, I think it was last week. We talked about like the plane crashing in Ohio and the opioid thing.
Hmm.
So I went back and looked at the numbers, and I have like the real quote for us. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So in 2017, um, there were over 130 deaths on average per day from opioid related overdoses in the state of Ohio alone. Okay.
Gosh.
And then if you look up the average number of people on a flight, just like any flights total in the United States, the average is 100 people.
Gosh.
And so it's not a plane crashing every month or every week. It is, imagine if in the state of Ohio, a plane crashed and every person died once a day. Once a day.
Like, what would we do about it as a society? We would be.
We wouldn't fly over Ohio. You wouldn't fly.
It's the
You wouldn't
Bermuda Triangle of the North.
and yeah. Like, no, but seriously, like everything would change. Everything would change, you know. Whereas in like, yeah, we're getting more serious about the opioid crisis now, but it took years and years of push and pressure, to finally get the changes that are coming about now.
Yeah.
Um, which is great, But like in Ohio, like it is a major conversation piece because Ohio has been one of the most hardest hit states, and just corrupt doctor prescriptions, if we're going to
Yeah.
be candid about it. But just like when you like, obviously that's no fault of the person that's addicted. They were told to take that by their doctor and told how much to take, right? So they followed a person that they put their trust into,
Yeah.
instructions, and then to have a plane crashing every day in the state of Ohio and nobody surviving.
Gosh. And
I mean, that's just
you would
fascinating.
have everybody in the like all the politicians would be flipping desks, like doing
Oh,
everything in their
yeah,
power to make sure that like planes were safe from now on, that like all
right,
this stuff, like, and you would see all these measures being taken
yeah,
if it was a plane crash. But
yeah.
gosh,
It
it
really,
honestly irritates me. It
yeah,
really just like gets me frustrated because it's so crazy how we can look at these things in society as two different things.
yeah, yeah. No, and yeah, no, absolutely,
Like we
absolutely,
literally just look at we replace the the plane itself with literally the culture,
right,
and we have literally the same thing. But instead of fixing like the culture and the like, the I guess not culture is not the best word, but you know what I mean. Like the like society that we're that these people are placed in, to where like having a problem this extensive is a
right,
thing, and
right.
nobody's doing anything about it, or
They're
not as many
trying to.
people are
It's like a
not doing
whole
as much
time.
as they should be doing about it.
Right, right. Yeah, it's super sad. And so I think that like I don't know, like whenever I think about drug addiction, and people addicted to drugs, I've got friends that have been addicted, for sure. I've got very close friends,
Mhm.
and that or some that are, right, and I've experienced all this. I think that recognizing the place that you were in whenever you started it, right?
Yeah,
Um, it was either a place of peer pressure or it was a place of, the bottom of the barrel, like you felt very empty, very lonely.
hmm,
Um, and I think that makes a push towards me of like, if I see someone that's having the symptoms before they actually experience this, right?
yeah,
What can I do to help them, And it's not to say that the drug itself is bad or what. I'm not here for a conversation about that ethic right now,
yeah,
But I don't want you or I don't want, the proverbial you to be addicted to a substance
yeah,
that's harmful to you. I don't want that for you. Like for example, water is actually slightly addictive. It's actually really interesting to look into, right? But like, I want you to be addicted to water. That's great. Be addicted to water. I wish you all the best. Chug that crap all day, every day, all day. Let's go. But I don't want you to be addicted to something that's unhealthy
harmful.
for you,
Yeah,
and harmful, right? And so like, if I see someone experiencing loneliness now, I think that's a call to action once you're informed on this.
yeah.
It's a okay, like I know for a fact that I can have a hand in saving this person's life down the road, by being a friend.
Yeah,
you know.
and
And even if they do become addicted, maintaining that friendship is preserving life, right? And that
yeah,
I think that all just matters a ton of just being empathetic, not being a sign holder and a bullhorn yeller, right? Like those don't help, right?
yeah,
In anything, right? It doesn't help Christianity, it doesn't help drug addicts, it doesn't help atheists, it doesn't help anybody. And so just I think that's really important is the
yeah.
ministry of presence, right?
And I think you bring up something really important to this conversation that we've seemed to skip over until you just said it. But it's I guess this conversation really isn't necessarily about like drug addiction itself. I know we've touched on a lot of different things, but it is about like the reason why I think both of us look at it in the way that we do is literally just solely based on the ethics of like making sure that most people have like the best outcome. And
Right.
so
Yeah.
if you're addicted to drugs, who cares? Like, you should just not be addicted to drugs anymore. You know, like, you know, like, and that's the goal is to like, you know, make sure that like, make sure that like, as little people are as addicted to drugs as possible, and so that we
Right.
have like we have the a possibility for the best society.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like the people that are like not making them feel more alone so that they overdose and die,
Yeah,
right? Um, Maintaining presence when it's hard. It's not easy to be friends with a drug addict,
not at
right?
all.
That's extremely difficult. Um,
Especially because like
and
you're like scared and stuff. Like I
yeah,
remember whenever my friend was on meth, he came over to my house and I literally had the thought. I was like, he might break in and like steal
right.
things to sell.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and that's
but
hard, right? That's
but
really
yeah,
hard.
you know, you don't like something that I would have done if I could go back is I would have arranged like a public meeting spot. You know, like
Yeah,
you know, you don't have to know where I live, but we can still hang
right,
out. We can go to McDonald's and sit around and talk for a couple hours or something like that. You know.
right. And it's not because you're scared of them, or anything like that. It's something you don't
Yeah.
trust them, so you don't trust the drug.
Yeah.
You know, and like I understand what it looks like to want that drug at any cost,
Hmm.
right? Like that's what happens
It's
with
desperation.
prostitute. Yeah, that's what happens with prostitution. It's what happens, with all people selling their kids into prostitution. It's just like I need this money,
Yeah.
and then one thing leads into another, and that's really I don't know, it's really intense, but I think it's good to be aware of, I guess.
Yeah. Well, do you have anything else you want to add?
Man, it feels like we really covered it, and we had a little conversation. Like Parasite, solid movie. I
Yeah.
give it. I don't think it should have won Best Picture. To me, it was like my third favorite of this year's nominees, behind Jojo Rabbit in 1917. But
Okay.
um, we can agree to disagree on that. We can half
I mean,
agree.
I haven't seen either one of them, so
Yes, that's fair. Parasite really is really good. I want you to see the other ones.
I already know
Yeah,
that it's better than both of the other ones that you listed.
yeah. Well, shut your mouth. No, hey, and if you did see the movies, comment below which one you think is best, and tell us why we're dumb. That's fine with
Yeah.
us. Not gonna be offended.
Well, did you have any hot takes today?
No, man. I mean, Wolf of Wall Street is one of the most inspirational movies of all time. I'll say that.
Wow.
It
Uh,
inspires me, man. It gets me going.
I don't know what I would say is inspirational to me as far as like a movie goes. Like
I mean,
honestly,
besides Brother Bear.
yeah. But no hot take that Justin had a week ago.
We're not fleshing it out. We'll say it, and we're not fleshing it out.
Okay, he said that what was it? Cross country is not a sport.
Oh, no, I'll talk about that. Yeah, no, it's not that it's not a sport. It's that running cross country doesn't make you an athlete.
Oh, okay, that was it.
Yeah,
But he
it
considered
requires
golfers
a lot of
athletes.
athleticism. Yeah, it makes me so mad that people are like, "Oh, I'm an athlete." No, just because you can run a long ways, if you can't catch a ball, if you can't shoot the ball, if I don't trust you to throw the ball to me, like any
Okay,
ball, like athletes, you know who those people are. Think of the people that are athletes. Like, oh yeah,
let me
I
ask
know
you a
all these
question.
people. I would trust them to throw a ball to me.
Let me ask you a question.
Ask me the question.
Okay, can somebody make a basket for like a basketball? Can somebody make a basket that's unathletic?
Make a basket?
Yeah, that's
Yeah, but I
unathletic.
can't. That's why I
Okay,
said
can they do
try.
that consistently?
No.
You don't think that somebody that's not an athlete can consistently make a basket? So you haven't
Correct.
seen like a 90-year-old guy go up and make like 100 free throws in a row.
Yeah, but he's an athlete.
Ugh. He's not more athletic than a cross country runner.
Get out of here. Yes, he is.
He couldn't do that.
Dude, just because you can't do something doesn't make you like.
See,
Look, but
Justin seems to Justin.
cross country is a part of. It's a like a it covers a sector of athleticism. It doesn't cover the gamut of athleticism.
But you think that
Yeah. So
sprinting and marathons and stuff like that are athletic?
I think that no, marathoning is the same as cross country.
Okay. Do you think that sprinting is athletic though?
I think it's more athletic. Yeah.
But would you say that they're athletes?
I don't know. I struggle with that, but I would say like
we're gonna get
it's
Usain Bolt on this show, and he's gonna
like a soccer player. A soccer player. Think about a soccer player.
Okay.
They can run as far as any cross country runner can.
Okay.
And they can kick a ball. They can like react to a ball in the air. They can do all these things, right? That a cross country runner can't do, but yet they can do cross country as well as a cross country runner can. Right?
Okay.
Because it covers just a small part of athleticism.
Okay, but I don't think that you can say. I don't think that you can say that they're not an athlete because of that.
It only covers like what I'm saying is it doesn't make you like okay, you did cross country, cool, catch this ball. You know, like I think it covers. Like, you have to be able to do more than just run a long ways. That's a part of it. It's a part of almost every sport. Almost every single sport is endurance, right? And I get that, and that's awesome. But you need to be able to complete it. You got to do more than just run.
But it's not just about the running itself. It's also about the speed of how you run and all this stuff.
Oh my god!
And so,
here we go.
And so, do you think
football, basketball, soccer, all those things? The speed is very much incorporated as well.
Yeah, but those people aren't going to be able to keep up necessarily in like a 10-mile race.
Soccer player could.
Maybe. But they're also training a lot of other things. They're not just training on running. And so I bet that they would if you took like a top cross country runner and a top soccer player, I guarantee that the cross country runner would outrun the crap out of the soccer.
But how much better? How much better would those top soccer would Cristiano Ronaldo be versus the top cross country runner? Well, not even in the same. They'd be like, "Why are you even on the field? Why are you on the pitch with me, my lad? Get off the pitch!" Right? Or like your top soccer player. I know Cristiano Ronaldo is not English. Okay, I get it. I just want to say it in Spanish or Portuguese. Okay, I'm sorry. But like the top soccer player could run a marathon. He could do it. I have no doubt in my mind. The top marathoner has no place in professional soccer. Usain Bolt, the top sprinter in the entire world, possibly of all time, wasn't good enough to play professional soccer.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say the same thing for like somebody. You put Cristiano Ronaldo on the basketball court.
I think I truly believe that he could play.
You don't think he would play on the NBA level?
He could play professionally though.
You think he would?
He could play professionally, yeah.
Okay.
Think about LeBron James. LeBron James would be a starting tight end in the NFL. 100%. Okay. And he'd be a really good goalie in soccer and possibly a decent defender and goalie in soccer.
I don't know. I don't know about that. Maybe a goalie.
I do. It's like he'd be a great goalie. He'd be one of the best. He'd be the best goalie of all time.
He'd take up the entire freaking thing.
Dude, yeah, I'm 6'10", do something about it. No, and I don't know. And no offense to cross country runners, I'm okay. And
all the cross country runners, just tell us how much you hate Justin.
And we'll wrap this up. But I don't think cross country. So this is where people get frustrated, right? It's like, we'll bring this up next time. But like for example, ballet is not a sport; it's a fine art. That doesn't mean that ballet is not hard. Like I've had this conversation. I actually went to the Nutcracker. And the girl I was dating was in the Nutcracker, so I got to go to the after party, right? I am the only individual in the entire building who has never been a part of a ballet performance, right? Nice. The only one, right? I'm like the 150 people at this party, and it kind of gets brought up, and I was like, no, like ballet's not a sport; it's a fine art. And I kid you not, I had 60 people in front of me, and they're like, well, you think you could do it? And I was like, no ballet's impossible. I don't know how you do it. It makes no sense to me. But it's not a sport.
It's like that SpongeBob meme where he has like the lemonade stand, and then like all the people like crowd around it.
Yeah, dude. I was so mad. Like no one said it's not hard. I think ballet's harder than any sport if we're gonna get down to what I truly believe. But like it is a sport. I was like, they need to
Yeah,
define a sport for me because apparently we're on different
I think it
realms.
has to be a competition. I don't think
Yeah, inherently
ballet.
competitive, right?
Yeah,
Because that is like I ate dinner tonight. That wasn't a sport, even though there is competitive eating, right? It's like
yeah,
there are competitive ballet things that you can do, right? That
hmm
exist. That
yeah,
doesn't make ballet a sport because
yeah,
it's not inherently competitive. It's inherently to put on a show. Band is not a sport. Band is a fine art. Singing, you know, all those things, right?
yeah,
And that doesn't take anything away from it. Like the most beautiful singers of all time have made more of a cultural difference than the best athletes of all time, probably.
yeah.
Like music has done such a wonderful thing for the world. And so I don't know why people are, I don't know. To me, I'm not taking anything away from it. They just have different realms. But we'll wrap it up. We've been talking a long time.
Yeah, but dang it, there was something else I wanted to ask,
Yeah.
but I wanted to like set it up for next week, and I can't remember what it was now. Oh
Okay.
well.
Well, we'll talk about it next week, whatever it is.
All right, brother. Well, it's been good. Thanks for watching, everybody. Don't forget to leave a comment about your favorite movie of the nominations.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me which ones you've seen. I saw all of them except for Joker, so bring it on.
All right. Well, I think we had a good talk today, and we'll talk to you later.
Peace out, Girl Scouts.